Can you tell us more about your projects at Facebook? Like, what were you working on? And you also mentioned about the hackathon that you took part in at Facebook.
Sure, yeah. So when I was at Facebook, I worked on two projects. It was a 12-week internship, and I was part of, like, as I said, the messenger team. In that vertical, I was part of the messenger business team. So my first project was about, I guess I can briefly talk about it. So messenger business basically entails P2B messaging. So so if I have a conversation with another person on Messenger, that would be P2P. So that's people to people. And then there's this other domain of messaging that's P2B, which is people to businesses. So that was like the specific team that I was part of for my first project. And what I worked on was a welcome experience for people trying to initiate a conversation with a business for the first time. We saw when I was at Facebook, we saw a lot of traffic coming in, big, like, huge influx of people trying to message like businesses. However, there were times when like people come in with, hey, this is what I want to know. They just didn't know how to ask that. Like they just don't know how to say it or like what to ask. They kind of know what they want, but they did not know what to ask or like how to ask that for. So my project essentially entailed working on a welcome experience that kind of makes it easier for people to reach out to businesses. When I say easier, it means make kind of reducing friction in that process and for people to have like a more, I guess, straightforward path of like talking to businesses. So say, like, think of like FedEx, right? So FedEx is a business. I'm trying to message FedEx, and um, I looked at, like, hey, this is just an example. Like, so what could be some of the most common questions for FedEx? So it's like a shipping service. We looked at what their Facebook page was like, what were some of the things they were receiving, stuff like that. So we kind of curated, hey, these are the most common questions that could be asked. And kind of I was responsible for working on this thing called Icebreakers. How they say it's like ice breaking a conversation. Similarly for like a messaging platform. So I worked on that thing where it would just have kind of like these pills on your chat screen. And for FedEx, before even you type in a message, it would show you these are some of the most commonly asked questions. And hey, if you just tap on that, it'll ask that for you. Um, so that was, I guess, that was the first project that I worked on. My second project was very different from my first project. Like this, as I was talking about it, like there's not a lot to explain from a visual standpoint. So it was really heavy on like product thinking. But my second project was, so Facebook.design is Facebook's expression to like the design community, where they host like resources, videos, writings created by like designers at Facebook. And it's kind of like a way to give back to like the design community. So my second project was part of that initiative. As part of that, I worked on like Messenger's platform design kit, which essentially like presents like a set of design principles or design templates to help people create experiences that are at home in Messenger. That includes like templates for chatbots, chat extensions, Messenger conversations for reference. So it was like a very systems level thing, and this was purely visual. So in that regard, this project was very different from my first project. Like I was essentially working on a design system within an existing design system. So it was like a lot of like vector, like pure like pixel pushing for hours. And when you're working on a design system within a design system, that's like really meta. So it can get crazy, but I think it was fun. It hasn't rolled out yet. There's a lot of other resources on Facebook.design, like mockups, other templates that Facebook provides for like designers and like developers around the world. But the kit that I worked on, it seems like it's going to roll out soon. But yeah, those are the two projects that I worked on over the span of 12 weeks. Yeah.
Tell us more about the hackathon as well that you were.
Sure. Yeah. I was not part of the hackathon, but while I was still at Facebook, I saw a lot of designers on my team go for like internal hackathons. So I can talk a little bit about like how those are like, or what goes down there.
Sure.
So Facebook has I think I might be wrong, like don't quote me on this, but I think we have weekly hackathons, at least when I was there, or like bi-weekly. They would have hackathons internally where you could like team up with people that you want to work with on an idea that you kind of want to pursue. So it's part of like driving initiative essentially. Like if so this also again I guess talks about like the culture at Facebook. Like nobody's going to stop you from what you want to work on. Like as an intern, sure, you have like a project brief and this is some of the stuff that you're working on, but say if there's like, you know, you see all these people working around you and you're like, hey, like this looks something very cool, like this is something that I want to work on, nobody's going to stop you from that. And you could like even if you're doing it outside of the hackathon, you could totally do that. But again, the hackathon puts a good constraint, and the internal hackathon, you could just kind of team up with devs and engineers and be like, hey, this is an idea I want to work on, and go in for that. And fun fact, like, so a lot of the cool features on Facebook were actually born at the hackathon itself. Like the like button, that like the thumbs up that people associate with Facebook all the time, the like was also something that was built at a hackathon internally. So I think like I talked about my experiences at hackathon outside of Facebook. I think even within the company, that's a great way to, you know, pursue an idea that you want to work on. Or like there's a bunch of internal tools at Facebook. Like there's a bunch of things that people are constantly trying to improve. If there's something that you like to work in and you're like, hey, this could be better, build it at the hackathon. Like, you know, talk to people, be like, hey, do you want to build this at the hackathon? And at the end, it gets noticed. And if it's something that's higher up on the priority for the company, you know, you don't know, it might get like shipped out. So I think it follows the same approach as hackathons, that outside of Facebook too. Like you get the chance to work on an idea that you've been wanting to pursue. If you find something cool to work on, just go build it. And you could. What I'm trying to get at is like, essentially at Facebook, if there's something you want to work on, you don't have to convince like layers of management. Like if you believe in an idea, you could totally do that. Chances are there's people that are passionate about the same things. You can team up and they will help you make it happen. So that's how hackathons work at Facebook. You'll be working on your project, and on the side you'll be working on a hackathon. So it's a lot of work, but it's fun. It's a good constraint to work with. Yeah.
Nice.